back with an all new show, Damage and Blue. It's a new year, but it's not New Year, New Me because I just got back from Dubai and almost went to jail.
What?
Now,
Jason, you
wait.
need a tracker.
Listen, everybody knows if you've been following Hollywood Unlocked and following me that I went to jail in Paris. That had absolutely nothing to do with me, and I was free from the confines of the jail. And even though I'm saying this as a joke, I'm still traumatized and looking for a therapist to talk me through my experience. But I went to Dubai. Damaged Blue, why y'all didn't tell me about the governing laws of Dubai? Now, I know you can't be gay out there, so I was absolutely not gay for like 9/10 of the trip. There was just too much alcohol on 1/10 of the trip where the gay just spilled out. But I went to a after party and I met this prostitute. I didn't know that the person was a prostitute because in my mind prostitutes look like Pretty Woman. And even though she was a pretty woman, I didn't know she was a working girl, but everybody there thought she was with me for the night because they didn't know because I was being straight. But look, I had too much to drink. And after the third party, I was by myself. I had to pee. And so I whipped it out and peed behind a bus. Well,
In
apparently
Dubai?
In Dubai, Jason, it's an
No, you
Arab.
tripping.
Oh, child.
Okay. Your reaction tells me that you let me go to Dubai without warning me that I wasn't allowed to pee outside.
You did.
Okay,
You didn't ask Abdul Caduce.
Abdul Caduce could have told you that, aka
You
DJ
didn't ask
Damage.
Abdul Caduce when you went to Dubai. I would have told your ass, keep your PP in
Now-
your pants.
Now you want to be the resident Muslim. See, this is my problem, right? Y'all knew I was going to Dubai. Y'all should have said, listen, Jason, let me go over a couple of things. One, there's no giving oral sex out there in public. Well, anywhere. But don't pee outside. I'm from Stockton, California. We whip our dicks out on a regular and piss outside. It's just
And that's your
it's just the
problem.
norm. Right. And so I peed. Let me tell you what happened. I was out there with Floyd Mayweather and the money team. They took a picture of me peeing outside and they sent it to the owner of the car company because I used his Rolls Royce and driver to take me to the party. And they tracked my penis down and contacted Floyd, and Floyd had to get me and my penis out of the confines of the Dubai prison system. I almost went to jail in Dubai. So what I have learned is that I'm not good with alcohol internationally. So for now on, I'm taking it coffee, Bailey's, water, maybe some fruit juice, and a spritzer. I can't do 1942 and Reposado like I used to.
There's
No.
a word, Jason. You need cultural competency. Whenever you leave the country, look up the cultural competencies. Like, you need to find out how they move. When I went to Dubai, I was doing a shimmy because I was so excited because I was with some rich people. They had oil money. The Burj Khalifa. Did you go to the Burj Khalifa, Jason? It's the tallest building in the world.
We stayed in the Burj Khalifa. That was our hotel, the Armani.
Exactly. My friend actually has a penthouse, 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms in there. And I was like, "Ooh, girl, you got money." I got excited and did a shimmy. She said, "Blue, stop. You can't shimmy here." I was like, "Excuse me?" She said, "You cannot shake they will stop you in the street." So if I can't shimmy, you definitely can't pull out your penis, Jason.
Well, let me tell you how I ended up finding out that I actually did it, because there was a blackout moment. It was New Year's. I don't remember everything. I do remember there was a bus involved. There was a fight between some soccer players, a camera, and then I met a drug dealer. I do remember those things, right? But then this is how I found out I urinated. I go to Floyd's room because now I want to go to the mall. The mall, by the way, the Dubai Mall. And let me say to the people in Dubai, you guys have inspired me. Black people, if you have not traveled, get up right now. No more Miami. No more Freaknik in Atlanta. No more going to North Carolina. Get on a plane and go to Dubai. Get out the country, because I'm going to tell you, that country is so beautiful and futuristic, and it just smells and breathes money. I felt like Richie Rich and all his cousins were staying at the Burj Khalifa. But let me tell you, I went to Floyd's room to go see, like, hey, we get ready for the day. And when I walked in, Floyd was like, Jason, I mean, and Floyd's so dramatic that I'm thinking, okay, you're putting the 10 on the 2, Floyd. What did I do? He goes, did you peed outside last night? I'm like, did I pee outside? And then I had a flashback. You know how you see those shows, what was the one with Kerry Washington when she was screwing the president?
Scandal.
Okay, Scandal, how they do flashbacks and then you see different moments. The flashback started flooding. I saw me drinking the Grey Goose in the 1942 in the Reposado, and then I saw the bus, and then I saw the urine, and then it dawned on me that I had urine. He said he had all the evidence. Nonetheless, he got me out of trouble. I'm going back to Dubai. I'm so motivated to create business there, but I absolutely will not be drinking. I didn't drink for the rest of the trip. I was like, nah, because I was literally terrified. And if you go to prison in Dubai, your family has to bring you food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you
over.
done. Now
We
look,
should come with you. We should come with you.
yeah, I should come because I've never been to the Wiz Khalifa, so that sounds really fun. The Wiz Khalifa
It's
sounds like
not. It's
someplace I want to
the
go.
Burj
The Burj
Khalifa.
Khalifa.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The
But
Burj
look,
Khalifa.
Jason, you can't send everybody to Dubai. People go to Miami so they can shake their ass. Blue couldn't
Yeah.
even shake her shoulders in Dubai. You trying to get everybody locked up as soon as they touch down. All the things we're used to doing in Miami and LA when we having a good time being drunk, you can't do over there. So there's levels and there's things you should go through until you get to Dubai, into the Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah. Their mall is so crazy that you have to drive around in a car. You have to they have a
Mhm.
cart system that drives you around to the mall. Shout out to Winnie Harlow. Here's a couple pictures of Winnie and I from New Year's Eve. Everybody knows that I love Winnie, and everybody also knows that Winnie was mad at me for a while because I had said some things that were inappropriate. And she saw me in the party and she kind of stopped and called me over and we had a conversation. And I said to her, I've only done 3 apologies. Ariana Grande, which we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to keep on moving. I can't remember who all the other ones were, and Winnie was one of them. And I really am not apologizing that much anymore because I'm all apologized out. But I did say to her, for the jokes I made about her skin, that they were insensitive, and I did apologize to her face. We had a real good conversation. So shout out to Winnie for allowing me to bring in my new year with this new energy. Everybody around the world knows that I am sipping more cappuccino and less tea. Although sometimes on my other show, the tea just pours out freely, but that's because I have to get it out. I haven't done therapy yet. What did you two do for New Year's? Anything inspiring? And are you looking forward to these resolutions that you're going to break?
So New Year's itself was whack. I am so excited for this year, 2022. I feel like this is going to be a big year for all of us, especially Hollywood Unlocked and me, myself personally. But New Year's didn't hit the same this year. It didn't have that effect for me here in LA. It just felt real desolate. Like I know they say like LA, we kind of like in the desert. It felt like the desert this New Year's Eve here for me. I didn't do much on the big day. I kind of sat in the house, stayed COVID free,
Mm.
made sure I got a little drink of myself, but I stayed away from people, man. It was different this year.
I dodged a bullet for New Year's Eve because you know how you ever see those things about how a bunch of girls will go on a girls trip and everybody's fighting by the end of it and they all hate each other?
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those That's So Raven moments where my friend had booked this luxury resort. It was going to be a girls' trip in New Year's. We were going to wear our bathing suits and run up through the beach and have an amazing time. And 2 days before the trip, the energy got funky. And I had a That's So Raven moment where I literally saw the arguments. I saw the drunken fights. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm not going anymore. So I tapped out of my girls' trip, stayed home. I did a spiritual fast. I cleaned my house. I feel very energized. And I actually don't think I'm going to be breaking my New Year's resolution because my only resolution this year is to have better discernment. You
Mm.
guys know my dating life was a piece of trash last year. So I sat down and I hit up my therapist, but I sat down and I journaled all the things that I've learned from those mistakes. And I feel very clear right now. So I had a very zen New Year's watching Jason running through the streets on Dubai on my phone.
Mm. Running through the streets, peeing everywhere I could. It was a shame. And so, well, let me say, there's a lot of New Year's resolutions out here, and there's a lot of celebrities that have been in the news at Hollywood. And like we've been talking about them, and you guys have been telling us over and over and over again that you want us to continue to spill the tea. I have to tell you, Akbar and Alexis Sky, I don't know if
Ugh.
anybody's confiscated your cell phones at this point, but I am sick and tired of it. I also think for Akbar, like, I don't know if she really means all the stuff she tweets. She had tweeted something earlier this week that she was gonna die, and then came back and clarified that we're all dying or something to that sort. And then she had mentioned something about Alexis Child's kid, which I thought was distasteful. And at some point, there has to be a limitation to what is acceptable and not acceptable. And I love both girls, but I just feel at some point I had to tell my staff, please stop posting these people because one, nobody really cares what they have to say. And two, you're posting them at such a ridiculous rate because at this point, I think they know that's how they're going to get talked about. But there's so many
Mm-hmm.
celebrities that I know for sure are going to have issues with their New Year's resolution. So if Trey Songz was to pass a New Year's resolution that he wants to be faithful and settle down with one woman, do you think that he can actually do that?
He better do that at this point. He better find himself a nice, solid, decent young lady, too. I'm talking about somebody all the women respect. I think that's the only thing that's going to clean up all this stuff he got going. So if that is his resolution, and it should be, it will behoove him, if I said that word right, to
You
do
did.
that.
But
I
there's a lot of
Brother,
women.
find
There's
a
a lot of women
girlfriend and stick to one.
There's a lot of women that are now coming out. The one basketball player female came out and said that he raped her.
What?
called him a rapist publicly, and other women are now coming out saying that he has sexually assaulted them. I'm unclear as to what's happening because I have said that I have been in the home where he told me not to repeat what I saw, but I'm going to say it because I didn't sign
Oh.
an NDA. I saw women, tons of women in his home, him go from room to room and stick his tongue in their throats, and them watch him tongue a girl down here, tongue a girl down here, disappear in a room with another girl, come back in the kitchen with another girl. And these women have made it permissible. So I find it really odd that now he's being accused of rape because Trey doesn't give me that he needs to take anything, but I also don't want to blame potential victims. But I also know that we live in a world where cancel culture and Me Too is not always Me Too. It's always I want it to be about Me Too. So I'm in this place where I don't want to convict him publicly because he hasn't gone through any process, right? But at the same time, I don't want to blame alleged victims. But I smell something very interesting going on here. I have questions. You know, if a woman goes out and says something like Trey Songz is a rapist, but doesn't report it to the local law enforcement, there's no proceedings going on. Do we take her serious because she reported on social media, or
I,
do we not take
mm,
her serious if she doesn't follow the process?
I feel like the New Year's resolution for Trey Songz shouldn't be for him to settle down. It should be for him to start asking for consent. Because the problem with Trey Songz is
Bingo.
because he can go into different rooms and stick his tongue down everybody's throat, he's walking around assuming everybody wants him. And it's inconceivable to him that there are women out there who don't want him. So all the women who have complained, whether it's Keke Palmer, this basketball player who everybody used to love, used to wear her, Drake used to wear her jersey. She's a reputable name. She's not just a nobody, right? All these women say the same thing. He assumed I wanted it and didn't even ask for consent. So if he just asked for consent and stop assuming we all want him, that would make 99% of his problems go away. He's convinced
But
everybody
don't
wants
we
him.
but don't we base our decision on whether or not somebody did something on whether or not we like the person that's saying it? Like, we believe that Tory Lane shot Meg this time because we love Meg and we don't like Tory. We believe certain situations in the press that have happened. We base our judgment and we cancel people before they've had their due process based on whether or not we like them. We may like this girl and we may or may not like Trey, but you know, I have heard a lot of nasty things about Trey Songz sexually because he's a nasty guy, right? He likes to do nasty things.
There's nothing wrong
But
with that.
when you say somebody's a rapist on social media and there's no formal process, you haven't filed complaints or charges, we you just say it and then it's like, let me get this off. I can't go into the new year. He's a rapist. And then that catches fire on the internet. Is that fair?
Well, there's a thing about so note that I didn't say that we liked her. I said she was reputable, right? So legally speaking, liking somebody means nothing, but legally speaking, the strength of your character and your previous deeds and being reputable is actually legally permissible. So if somebody is reputable and has a public knowledge of them having good sense of reason, that actually is permissible. So if Trey Songz has shown that
Wait,
he acts a fool all the time,
Bill
that's
Cosby,
permissible.
Bill Cosby was pushing pudding pops down y'all throats for years on TV and commercials, and then we didn't know he was allegedly pushing pudding pops down the actress's
We
mouth.
did behind the scenes.
This was America's Black Father. All y'all sat around the fire looking at Claire and Bill and whatever his name is. Y'all all thought the Huxtables was your parents in the absence of your father who went to the store and never came back. So we can't sit here now and say that everybody with a reputation that's good automatically should be taken seriously.
But there's Jason, you know how this system works, right? There's your reputation to the public and there's your reputation behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, nobody was surprised about Bill Cosby. So the public was surprised, but behind the scenes, again, his character had shown literally 40 years of people calling him out. So again, legally speaking, if behind the scenes everybody knows you're dirty, the same way with R. Kelly, he had a whole ecosystem. So the public doesn't know what's happening, but if we can prove that everybody in your team knew and their friends knew and production knew, yeah, that's permissible.
What do you think, Damage?
I think there must be some truth to it. You know, I don't always lean in where I see people get accused of things, but this has been going on for a while, and the people that have been saying it have been notable. Not saying those people can't lie, but some of these people, it takes a lot for them to come out and say this. You know, the
Mhm.
last thing we seen was that tweet that came out before the new year started. That's a lot to put on your plate as a celebrity, as an athlete, as someone that has influence to put out there. Not, you know, understanding that this could come back in some kind of way. There must be some confidence behind that. And like I said, this is not the first story. We've been hearing stories over the years. I pray that this man gets help. I pray that the people that are potential victims, I hope they're getting the help they need. And somebody needs to have a real conversation with an old boy. If you're a close friend to old boy, somebody needs to step up and have that conversation because now it's happening way too frequent. And some people are becoming numb to it, like, oh, that's just how Trey is. And that's when it gets a
Mhm.
little scary. Kind of like the R. Kelly thing. Like when we start kind of just started like brushing over it, that's becoming more of a toxic problem for our ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, honestly, there's something there. I'm not going to sit there and accuse him of something that I don't know, but there is something there for sure.
Well, listen, over the weekend, supermodel Kendall Jenner, she's one of the Kardashians that we don't often talk about because she stays away from the antics and focuses on having a real career.
Ooh.
She allegedly, they're saying, may be engaged to Devin Booker. Devin Booker, the basketball star who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's a very successful, good looking guy. He was spotted with a ring on his finger, and it looked like it was a wedding band. And so some people are speculating that they may be engaged. I have to ask you all, do any of you believe that any of the Kardashians will ever have a marriage that will last forever? I personally say no, because they're just too exposed on social media. They're too beautiful, too successful. And it's like once you got a nut, mm, you know, like, do you keep going? None of them have had a good track record of dating anything longer than a few years or maybe a few several years. I don't know. Courtney now is engaged to Travis Barker. Kim Kardashian, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is gallivanting through the streets of LA as a single woman now. And then you have Khloe, who we're going to talk about,
Mm.
who's pathetically standing by and being shitted on repeatedly. And then you have Kylie, who Kylie, just stick to the lip kits. I mean, you got the baby daddy, then you're leaving him, and then you're over there with Drake allegedly, and then now you're back with the baby daddy, and you have a second baby coming out by a guy who killed a lot of people allegedly, as a result of an out of control concert. So I don't know. This
Ooh.
is dramatic, but do you think that we'll see Kendall Jenner be the Kardashian that makes it all the way down the altar into the promised land of marriage between two people, for better or
Yeah,
for worse?
yeah, I think she's the anomaly. So I think she will probably do it because she's the one who acts the least like a Kardashian, and that's no shade, no tea. But think about it. She hasn't stolen anybody from her friends because the Kardashians like to steal people's boyfriends. She hasn't tried to pretend to be black. She's not a culture vulture. She actually keeps her life private and dates people because she likes them, not for a look. So because Kendall tends to be the one that is the least Kardashian, I actually believe in her the most. So I think if anybody could do it, it would be her. She's a regular person who happens to be married into that, not married, but who have been born into that family. But she's not with the shits, and I like that about her. So yeah, I believe in Kendall.
I
The
mean,
rest of
but
them,
is she not with I mean, Devin Booker ain't no regular dude. That's Devin
she
Booker.
kept him undercover for years. It took years for her to even
No, but
acknowledge his
but but
existence
but to
publicly.
Damage's point, Devin Booker is Devin Booker. It's not like JoJo from Crab Shack.
Well, think about it. When you think about how people date, if you talk to a dating coach, they always tell you date in your system, like in your world. So she's always going to date somebody rich and powerful because that's her world. But she doesn't gallivant it for the public. And that's very Kardashian. She doesn't leverage it. She doesn't market it. She, in fact, even said in their final special, which I did watch because I watched the show, that she wants to have a relationship where you find out she's married after the fact because she doesn't want to do it for the cameras. That is
Well,
Oh.
so
that's what I'm saying, and
anti-Kardashian.
now with what we're saying, what we're seeing is that she may be married. I mean, Devin may have actually put a ring on it,
I love it.
literally. But I don't know, a lot of people online have a lot to say about them dating black men. Why do they only want black men? Why aren't there other men out there? I mean, I know that we're all entitled to like what we want. And look, I'm a product of a mixed, situation. But I
We
know
have the
it's a slippery
sauce.
slope where I'm sliding. I
We have
know
the sauce.
well, I understand, so does Popeyes, but all hot sauce isn't good for you. Cholesterol is high these days, different biscuits and shit like that. But Damage, do you think that there's something that interests them about balls and basketball players?
Wait.
No, basketball players. Devin Booker's a basketball player.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's something about the visibility. Like they find very visible people. Like you think of Travis Scott, very visible. Tiger at one point, very, very visible, and arguably still visible. Kanye West, very visible. Devin Booker is extremely visible. So even though she's keeping it on the low, it's still in that same standard of what the Kardashians look for in a man. It's something to it. I don't know what the sauce is, but whatever the sauce is, they don't stick with it. Whoever they deal with, it's always some funny business with the romance. There's always something going on there. I don't know if these guys don't know what they're signing up for. I don't know if the Kardashians don't know what they're signing up for. It seems to never really mesh well when it comes to them and these visible characters.
Do you?
I wanted to see them, like, hook up with another woman, like, what shouldn't one of them be
Oh,
a lesbian for a year? And if one of them were to be a lesbian, who do you think I think it would be Chloe.
I
I
think
mean,
it
because
needs to
she
be Chloe. She needs a timeout. I think it needs to be Chloe.
I feel like the
well,
young one
listen,
would be.
let's talk let's talk about Khloe Kardashian really quick. Okay, she's in the news because she's now reportedly relieved that she can focus on her own life and being a mother to True without policing Tristan's penis. We all know that Tristan Thompson has had indiscretions. We reported it first here at Hollywood Unlocked years ago when he had the alleged relationship with Jordan Woods, even though they said that there was no relationship, but we were there firsthand and we saw it. Shout out to Alyssa. I have a problem with this whole conversation because Khloe Kardashian, as much as I love you, and you know I love you, Khloe. I don't have your number no more because you changed it after you used me. I have to
Mm.
tell you that you're not good for women. You are a bad example for accepting toxicity from a man who you know is repeatedly emotionally abusive. He is a bad example to your child. You have been a bad example for women, not only in how you've stayed with this man who's repeatedly shitted on you and your family and the legacy of the Kardashian brand, whatever that legacy is, but also somebody who you worked with to get back at the woman, Jordan Woods, who you used me to take down. And I feel like in many ways there's a conversation happening online right now if the Kardashians own Jordan Woods an apology. And I have to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
not only does Khloe Kardashian and the
Hell yeah.
Kardashian family owe her an apology. Hold on, Blue. Let me land this. I
Sorry.
think that they as a family owe her an apology. They owe Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith an apology, and they owe the Black community apology because ultimately they worked cohesively to destroy this young woman. And like a phoenix, she rose. Got a good old man, Carl Towns. I don't know you. I don't watch your basketball plays, whatever. I don't even know if that's the right terminology, but you appear to be a really good, solid guy. And I love the fact that you are holding on to that girl. But, in looking at the fact that now Chloe is coming out saying, I'm relieved and now going to focus on me, it's just a bunch of bullshit going into the new season at Hulu. I'm not buying it. I think it's just more fodder for social media. And nobody's ever going to believe that you are now relieved. I think you are lonely. I think you are sad, and I think that your Keurig has run out of water, and you don't have no coffee or tea to sip, and so you're sipping the tea that we spill every day about your man's penis. And Tristan apparently now is taking responsibility. He posted this on social media. This is what happens when you get caught. He said, today, paternity test results reveal that I fathered a child with Marley Nichols. I take full responsibility for my actions. Now the paternity has been established. I look forward to amicably raising our son. I sincerely apologize to everyone I've hurt or disappointed throughout this ordeal, both publicly and privately. Chloe, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve the heartache and humiliation I have caused you. You don't deserve the way I've treated you over the years. My actions certainly have not lined up with the way I view you. I have the utmost respect and love for you, regardless of what you may think. Again, I am so incredibly sorry. My only response to that is, nigga, please. That's all.
Now I don't want to backtrack, but you're saying Chloe and owes Jordan Woods an
Mm-hmm.
apology for working to try to tear her down because
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Woods did still do something wrong.
Mm-mm.
Like,
I'm
Mm.
not
are
saying
we?
that Jordan Woods. I'm not saying that Jordan Woods should have been dragged for filth for being a loyal friend. She lived in the backyard of her sister with the lawnmower. She should have been loyal to her. What I'm saying is that she was the one to take the public beating, the
Mm,
public ridicule, the public bruising. From what I understand, her family received death threats. Her sister had to be taken out of school as a result of it. The Kardashians have a fan base that are rabid animals. They're almost as rabid as the Minaj Barbs, okay? And so these people had to be put under terrorist watch because they were being attacked by this terroristic family's terroristic fans, whatever, you know what I mean,
She
okay?
mhm.
owes
Now,
her an
wait,
apology.
wait, she bears responsibility, but I also say that Jordan hasn't fully told the whole story either. We know that there was more there than just her putting her legs over his legs. We know this. There are celebrities who've been in around them who know and have told me, and we saw what we saw. So that is what it is. So they still haven't fully taken responsibility. But the fact that Chloe took Tristan back, I thought was a way of kind of rubbing it in Jordan's nose. I still got the man. True still got her daddy. But your baby daddy was out laying his pipe in all these other women. You do realize there are two other women that allege they have kids or have had sex with. One has alleged that she has a kid by Tristan that has yet to be proven. But, this isn't the first girl, and it won't be the last.
Do
So
you
the
think
reason
the
why she owes her an apology, I want to just answer that before we move on to the next thing. The reason she owes her apology isn't based on morality; it's based on how she weaponized her celebrity. So Jordan Woods could have literally gave Kristen Thompson a blowjob, X, Y, and Z. That's not my business. I don't care about that because the Kardashians themselves are not very righteous when it comes to the way that they show their loyalty to their homegirls, right? Shout out to Trina and all the black women who they stole men from. So to me, it's not about any of that. The reason why she owes her apology to me is that single tweet when she knew that she was a celebrity. She thought that Jordan was a nobody who was living in the back house. And she literally said, Jordan Woods ruined my relationship and owes me an apology. And she knew that when she said that to millions of people, that this little black girl who she thought had no power was going to be attacked by the public. She weaponized her celebrity because she thought Jordan was a black nobody. What she wasn't expecting was that Jordan's godfather, Will Smith, was going to swoop down and say, not on our watch. And that's when Jada Pinkett Smith and her family, which has been more powerful than the Kardashians, stepped up and saved her. When you weaponize your celebrity and intentionally try to bring a black woman down after you've been feeding off of black women for years to make your money, that's why she owes her an apology. She was being a bully.
Jada Pinkett Smith called Kris Jenner and ended their relationship as a result of all of this. Like a lot of breakdown, a lot of fallout that the public doesn't know has happened. But I'm gonna also give you some more tea. When Kanye West was on the Drink Champs and he said he don't like that publicist sitting next to his wife, that is the woman that Khloe used to gaslight me to attack Jordan. That was the mastermind Pied Piper of the media. And I'm not going to say her name now because, no shade. Me and Kris Jenner have been going back and forth on text messages. It's been really heated. I've never disrespected Kris or had a heated conversation with Kris Jenner until about a month or two ago, where we had a really very uncomfortable exchange because, as I told Kris, I'm not intimidated by you. I am not afraid of the Kardashian family. I don't care who the fuck y'all know. I'm Jason Lee. I'm Hollywood Unlocked. You can't call nobody on me. She made a couple phone calls on me, and I know her attorneys and my attorneys talk because they know I got some tea that I'm going to spill at some point. Should it need to be spilled? But what I will say, as far as this Tristan Thompson thing, one part of me reports the news and I say what I have to say because it is what it is. But when I also think about some of these indiscretions, I almost feel like there's a mental health component here that we're missing. And the reason why he's a part of so much fodder is because we're making a laughing joke out of him being a laughing stock. But I think that he has a sex addiction that we don't know about that is not treated. This goes beyond just being a reckless nigga who has money. This is somebody who knows he's in one of the most highest profile relationships he will ever be in. He's a very notable person that has a notable problem and consistently finds himself in the midst of it and then issues these public apologies as if they're to mean anything. I think there's a psychological ticking going on up here. I don't know. He doesn't run his head into other players like the football players do, so he can't blame that. But I don't know if it's just like there's something psychologically damaged with him. And let me ask you this, Blue and Damaged, because I think we all look at this from different perspectives. If he was to do some type of therapeutic experience and it revealed that he had a mental health condition that caused him to displace his penis, would we feel different?
No.
No.
Because
Bruh,
here's the thing, like intention doesn't negate
Damn.
impact, and also just because something is not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility. And he has enough resources where he could have gotten that looked into. I think that Chloe's a narcissist who's been playing victim because everything that she did to everybody else is now happening to her in a public forum. I think he actually does have a sex addiction and a couple other problems. I think they all have mental health issues, to be perfectly honest, but they still have a responsibility for their actions. So I can say, hey, I understand why you did it, but you still have to pay for doing it. So no, it wouldn't change my view at all.
and if that's the case, you know how many men have to be written off that have multiple kids with multiple
All
baby
of them.
mamas? We got to think about it. It's because it's Tristan where it's like, oh man, he's tripping. There's so many people out here, Jason,
Well,
out here
Damage.
that's just
My
willing to
father
villain
had seven
kids.
kids. My father had 7 kids out of wedlock. I was just trying to find a way to reconcile with him,
My
but
daddy
fuck
too.
him too.
I'm
All right.
number
Well, listen.
7.
I don't know if public apologies are given or not, or owed or not. Tristan, I want to interview you. I think it would be
Oh,
the most epic conversation ever. Jordan Woods, I want to interview you. And Khloe, I want to interview you too. I want to talk to all of you. Maybe separate chats, maybe same questions, different times, piece it all together, see what the world looks like. Because I personally think this whole story is bipolar, and I will say that when I was talking directly to Khloe, I understand how they make you feel like you can trust them. But I also know firsthand how the Kardashians can use you, spit you out when they're done. But the difference between me and you, baby, is I'm gonna teach you how to swallow. Because he spitting me out, don't do anything. Oh yes, spitting me out. What you thought you spit me out and I didn't grow? No, I grew into a full ass mess, and I'm ready for it, and I'm here for all the shit. So listen, moving right along. You know who else is out here doing sneaky links? Have y'all heard about the latest sneaky link here in LA?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Coronavirus is sneaky linking over with the flu. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Fluona,
Flurona.
don't Flurona sound like somebody you knew from down the block that you met up at the bus stop with? But anyway, there's now this new case of Flurona, which is a combination of the flu and the coronavirus. And one of the first people to test positive is right here in LA. What's happening? I go to Dubai for one trip. I come back, and now Flurona is here, and Omarion is taking over the streets to where you literally can't do anything.
Yeah,
Well, he
I'm
came from Cabo though. He came from a trip from Cabo and he showed up with
Of course,
Flurona from Cabo. Yeah, so yeah, don't travel, guys.
That's where you get it from. But look, let's be real. Everybody's resolution needs to be boosting your damn immune system. All right. There's no
Yes.
more excuses. There's too many damn variants of COVID. The flu is still here, like it ain't never left. Now the flu and COVID and got together and made a baby. Boost your goddamn immune system. All these people out here, if you like to drink every day, whatever, you need to start prioritizing that. Now, before people used to talk about immune systems, it was boring. It's like, yeah, whatever, I get to it. Sometimes I drink some vitamin C, like some orange juice. It is so imperative right now because if the flu is matching up with corona, who else? We don't know if they're going to link with some other type of shit, pneumonia. It's too many variants. It's too many things compacting on each other. Get your immune system right.
well, listen. Do not listen to damage. Do not drink orange juice. Get fresh orange. Orange juice has sugar. Drink hot teas. Get sea moss. I got an IV today with the vitamins. Do that. Exercise. Stay hydrated. Sleep. You need sleep. Rest your body. And for those of you who are bottoms, don't worry. You're gonna sleep on your stomach if you catch corona anyway, so that way your
Oh,
lungs don't get filled up with liquid. Yeah, there's a whole protocol. But look, let me explain something to y'all real quick. If I was a member of B2K, I would be so mad at Omarion right now because every time I turn around, it's all about him. Now
mm-hmm,
Omaricron or Macron, whatever that
mm-hmm.
new strand is, that's now Omarion. He's still being talked about more than the other people in his group. What shouldn't Raz B be ready to just slap him upside his head? The fact that they named this new variant after Omarion.
Raspy went viral a couple of days ago for a dance challenge, so he's still trying to get his little, two-step in. Don't feel bad for
What
Raspy.
he should
He's
have
out
said it
here.
was he was trying to shake the Omarion. You know what I mean? If he would have said, I'm trying to shake the Omarion and dancing it out, that would have been crazy. But you know who I think caught the Flurona?
Mm-mm.
Cool.
Jason Derulo. He was just at the airport and beat up somebody for calling him Usher. Now, Jason Derulo is a friend to the show. And I know Jason Derulo. He's such a nice, well-mannered person. I don't know what happened, but somebody called him Usher and he broke through all these security guards and beat two people up, laid somebody all the way out. TMZ caught the video of him beating the people up. And I want to text him, but I'm afraid he'll hit me too.
Jason.
Do you think it was the Florona or the Omarion that did it?
What I think is, when you see these videos, we never really have the context. So they'll just simplify it. Jason Derulo fights through all his security guards to beat up people because they called him Usher. There had to be more to this. Jason Derulo has been called so many things on social media. Corny, this, that. People think he's gay. I don't think somebody calling him a legend, an icon. People say this. It's the same what people say, right?
People think he's gay.
But he takes it well. People say thinks all types of things about
But
everybody,
he
right?
takes it well. You know what?
Hey, look,
Jason.
you
Okay,
did
you know
that.
what? I
No,
gotta
you did
step in and
that.
defend my Haitian brother because y'all not finna do this to him.
I ain't do
So,
this. I said
so
he
the video.
he
If
takes
Jason
things
Derulo was
well.
gay, I would be dating him right now because he is low key attractive. But
He's
wouldn't it be
attractive.
weird for me to date somebody named Jason and then in my house somebody say Jason, we both go, huh?
No, you would like that, Jason. I actually don't think it'd be weird. I think you and the dogs would like it. So here's the thing: the video. I watched the video, the extended clip,
It's more
and
to
what
it.
actually happened was somebody was heckling him and harassing him, and he walked away the way he always does. And then they said, "Shut the fuck!" Sorry, shut up, Usher. Like they said it like a derogatory way, like you're a wannabe Usher. So it wasn't like they just called him Usher by mistake and he flew through the air. They were heckling him and then told him to shut the hell up, Usher, knowing that it wasn't Usher. And that's when he's like, "Enough, man!" And he flew through the sky like
Let me
Superman and beat up everybody.
let me Let
Is
me
that
say this,
racist?
okay? There's a couple things I know about Jason Derulo. One, he is a very nice, kind-hearted person. He
Hmm.
is very generous and very sweet. And for him to go and attack somebody like that is completely out of character. I'll also say that y'all need to be very careful because celebrities are people too. Even with my job, if I walk in a place, even when I've seen Tristan Thompson in public, I don't go in there and talk crazy to him and say my commentary and do all that because that's not the time or place for that. If he walks up to me and says, "What do you think of my penis?" I'm going to say, "Please keep it away from me because I'm not trying to get pregnant." Because every time you pull it out, somebody gets pregnant, allegedly. But I don't heckle celebrities. I don't heckle people because they are human. And if you heckle somebody, if you poke a bear long enough, it's going to bite back. He's a human
Yep.
being. They had to do something to push him out of his character. Now, I will tell you the other thing I know about him is that I knew his baby mama, Jenna Frooms, was not going to last in his life forever. When I was going over to his house, the couple times that I was there, Jason had other women before this girl, and I knew he was trying to figure out who he wanted to settle down with and who he was loving on or whatever. But Jenna Frooms caught me out of the blue because one, I didn't really see him wifing her down. But two, I now need to understand what happened between them in that relationship. And maybe there's some pent up rage that's just waiting to be unlocked. And I'm walking through an airport because I'm flying to go see my son because she took him away from me, or daughter. I don't know what he had. And then I just lost it. But either way, it was highly entertaining. He should definitely play in the NFL the way he ran over all those people and he laid one dude all the way out. So
He
y'all gonna put some
flew.
respect on Jason's name
That,
because y'all be playing on Jason tomorrow. Oh, he's just a pop star that be overseas. And he showed you I'm a whole
you
nigga
got
and I
me.
will beat your ass in the
But,
airport in front of the cameras. I
but
love it.
could that be arguably like racist? Like if it was like a
Yeah.
Asian star, and I'm like, man, get out of here, Jackie Chan.
Exactly.
That's more than just calling somebody Usher. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Hmm.
think that's what I'm saying. People are simplifying it, but there's more to it. When you just
Yeah.
call a black star just another black star, to me that could be that's come off a little racist, yo. You know what I
Yeah,
It's a
mean?
like
Like
lot.
if you see me and you say, "Quit talking shit, Charlemagne," I'll be like, "Yo,
Exactly. That's exactly what they did to him. They
tried
knew
it."
it wasn't Usher. It wasn't just Usher's name.
You cannot just call a person any name. I know that while the intention may not be racist, it's the receiver's experience that can say, no, that appeared to be racist to me because you just called me another black person. But you could tell the way he turned around and rushed him, he had had enough that day.
mhm.
And that was
Yep.
just it. And when you snap and lose it like that, and to be somebody who, like a Jason, who's very publicly aware of his image, to lose it like that means you did something. So, shout out to Jason. And Jason, if you want to tell somebody what happened, call me. All right, look, another person who's in the news for completely snapping and losing it, at least what it looks like, was Antonio Brown. And those of you that don't know who Antonio Brown is, he's a person who had played for the Raiders. He lost his position there on the Raiders and was a free agent or out of the NFL for a while. He had a very toxic relationship with his child's mother, on social media where he was shaming her and she was doing certain things, kicking her out the house and so forth. They ended up getting back together. And then he eventually got a job back in the NFL with one of the other teams. He was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a lot of people online were saying that he deserved to have another job. Floyd Mayweather was one person that advocated for him to get another job. He got a job. And then this week he walked off the field, taking off the jersey and pretty much throwing it down, which I thought was so poor taste, regardless of why he did it. It was just not cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of people
I
question
just
whether or not he
froze,
should have his
guys.
job back, and at this point, I say no.
Whoa. I think he should absolutely have his job back because he produces. He produces on that field. The things they care about, he does. I think when it came to the situation with his child's mother, and it looked like he was starting to endanger her, that's a little bit more. You gotta be a little bit more critical with that. But when you think about as far as him endangering himself on that field, as long as he's catching those footballs and making touchdowns, they're not going to just cut him like that. Like him doing those
Right,
antics.
but is that enough? Because let me tell you, if one of my employees just in the middle of a show threw up their arms and said, "I'm out," and took off their Hollywood Unlocked shirt and threw it, I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are. You are gone. Because see, the thing is then now it sends a message to the rest of the employees that that's accepted behavior, and it sets the bar for what people can do in the workplace. Because now you can't go do something different with somebody else than you did with them, because then you could be sued for disparate treatment. So it's one of those things where he may be a great employee or a great player, but he put himself out there regardless of what the outburst was for. It's not like he found out his mother just died of COVID and he's rushing out of there to go find out what's going on. he made a spectacle of himself and the team in the middle of the game and the world watching that.
Mhm.
I mean, how do you come back from that? And just because
Oh,
you catch balls,
I'm gonna tell you
just because you
how.
He-
catch
Here's the thing.
balls, you
Here's the
should
thing,
come
I'm gonna
back.
guys.
tell you how.
He's mentally ill though, guys, and this is the part that I think this is the difference between him and a Jason Derulo.
Allegedly, allegedly.
He's allegedly mentally ill, but I would say as somebody I've had to write about him extensively, I feel very comfortable personally thinking he's mentally ill. And because there is some mental issues, even Tom Brady, who we know is not the most cuddly person in the world, shout out to the New England Patriots, he even came out and said, this actually isn't a spectacle. We have to show him compassion because he's not well. And so when people who are knowing him behind the scenes are like, yeah, this is different. This is not him just having a fit. He's actually not okay. I think we need to stop talking about him playing football and talk more about him getting the help that he needs. I think Antonio Brown needs help. A lot of people think he needs help who work with him day in and day out. So for me, this is more of a mental health issue and not just somebody snapping in the middle of work.
Tom Brady also supported Trump, so I don't want to hear anything about that. But look, his
But
responsibility to himself and to people around him when you have mental health disorders. I have family members that suffer from mental health. I suffer from mental health issues, right? It's the individual's responsibility to seek out care and seek out help. You
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
get to not have help and have all these public episodes and then cry wolf and say, "Oh my God, poor me, poor me." No, you fought hard to get back in the NFL, which I didn't believe he should have been kicked out in the first place. You then publicly humiliated your child's mother and did things that were very, very scary towards her online. You made a mockery of that relationship. People advocated for you to get your job back. And then you came back and you did that. Yes, if mental health is real in his life and it's a real situation, because I'm still going to say alleged, because, regardless of my personal opinion, I ain't about to get publicly sued for it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if his alleged mental health is what led to that, and he can come back and publicly apologize, take ownership, show he was in treatment before and he had just had an episode, that's one thing. But if he can't show all of that and he don't apologize, I'm sorry. Bring back Cap. That's who I want to see get a job. AB, yeah, you catch balls. There's other people out there that catch balls.
Bring back Cap.
no,
Football.
no, it's not. And this is why. I agree with all you saying. First of all, NFL don't care anything about nobody's mental health, so we're not going
Nope.
to act like that's going to be a concern for them. Tom Brady wants Antonio Brown there, so Antonio Brown's going to be there. The biggest spectacle in football history. Tom Brady says, "I want him on my team." As long as Tom Brady has his back, he's going to stay on that team. The Buccaneers don't want him there in the first place, so you got to think he's already cut. If it wasn't for Tom Brady putting his chest on the line because Tom Brady want to win games, there would be no Antonio Brown. They've been done with Antonio Brown, but it's Tom Brady that's saving. If
There's
there was
that
no
part.
Tom Brady, there would be no Antonio Brown.
There's that part. So LeBron James has a show on HBO Max. I forgot what it's called, but you need to go watch it. It's a good
Shop talk
show
or something. It's really good.
where they're in a barbershop having conversations. And Tom Brady, I just watched it on my way to Dubai, and Tom Brady was in there talking about, how he kind of does his Tom Brady thing. And he said his whole thing is all about winning. So on one hand, it's not all about caring about the mental health, but on the other hand, is it all about winning? And that's why you want it back, regardless. Yes, if Tom Brady says, we should have compassion. Let's bring him back. Are you fighting for the team to give him the care that he needs? Or are you fighting to have him back on the team so you can get another ring? Some of these people who are really competitive, it's all about winning at every cost. And it could be also at the cost of Antonio Brown. But more importantly, and this is no shade, I really don't care what no white man is saying about how we behave in public. We have to criticize and hold ourselves accountable because we are all one. Antonio Brown is me, is you, is Colin. There's not one conversation happening in the sports world of football where it's about black people and them being a part of this slave trade that we know as the NFL
Yep.
or these teams that we have identified as plantations, right? Like there's a bigger conversation happening. And so when you see the spectacle happen and that be permissible, but then you taking a quiet knee on the field and it not, there's a bigger conversation for me
Mhm.
that should be had. And I'm sorry, AB, if you and your breakdown is the precipice of this bigger conversation, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to call this tolerable if somebody's standing at the side of the sideline who's just simply standing up for our culture is banned from the whole NFL. Like it's just not cool.
I'll
Two
be
But that's
truths.
just
real.
my opinion.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
two truths can coexist. So I think in this case, this is a perfect example of that. From in my opinion, and I'm saying that this is allegedly, he allegedly has a mental health issue, and a lot of football players do. So the probability is actually very high. And Tom Brady wants to win. Those two truths can be coexisting. So Tom Brady weaponizing that or cultivating that or leveraging that to win doesn't mean that he's still not sick. And so I would love it if somewhere in the mix he does get the help that I think that he needs.
All right. Well, I know another person that needs help is the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. Now, the saddest thing in the world is when a whole city like New York, which is one of the most beautiful cities in the country, gets rid of De Blasio, a person that they thought was not only bad for the city, but just bad for black people in general. And then they bring in a black guy who then denounces a lot of workers who are probably people who look like him. Recently, in a press conference, Mayor Eric Adams was dragged for filth after he talked about, quote, low skilled workers. And he pissed a lot of people off when referencing these low skilled workers. And he talked about different professions that, they lack the skills of those sitting in a office, in a corner office. And a lot of people are really upset about this. I thought it was an embarrassment when we put it online. Although I have an apartment in New York, I don't consider myself a full-time resident of New York, but I do live there too. And to see the amount of pride that New Yorkers have in a city that's been so resilient like New York City, to then elect a black man who's come and said this. And I think also recently he talked about bringing back stop and frisk, or reference something around stop and frisk, which we all know are policies that target people of color and have been something that New York City has fought hard to eradicate. I think he's completely out of touch. And I think the people there should be really, really angry.
I mean, I'm from a blue collar town. I'm from Philadelphia. For you to label those people as low skilled shows me you never as a mayor or wherever his standing is. You never been in these people's shoes. You never been at a Dunkin' Donuts when it's a rush hour of traffic in the morning. Everybody's trying to get their latte or whatever the hell, and you got to sit there and finesse 15,000 cups. Or working at the grocery store. How is that low skill bagging up? Some of those things, it just shows the disconnection from him and the people. And that's scary because you're supposed to represent the people. And I don't like that. Like, it's really troubling when you hear people talk like that, especially as being a black man. And it's like, bruh, you can't be this out of touch to think just because people are doing the labor work that they're low skill. A construction worker isn't low skill. Somebody working at the grocery store that you feed your family with, they're not low skill. How is that a low skill? I'm not
Yeah,
understanding that.
it's a perfect example of how not all skin folk are kinfolk, because black elitism is always interesting. Because whenever you meet somebody who's of the black elite and who thinks like that, they just want their turn playing massa. So they're not really for us. And what makes me really, really sad is a lot of people don't realize that low wage and low skill are not synonymous. Perfect
Uh-oh.
example, when you have an assistant, my assistant recently transitioned to another job. I felt stupid watching him show me what he does every day. I was like, oh, wow, I don't know how to do any of this. I'm technically making 20 times more than he is. So he was lower wage, but he was not lower skilled than me. In fact, I've had bosses in previous jobs tell me we like to keep people around who keep us supple, because the higher you get on the food chain, the stupider you get, because everybody's working for you underneath you. And so I think
Uh-oh.
we need to be really, really, really careful about thinking just because you're getting a big check that you know the most. In fact, the person who's getting paid the most usually knows the least and has people who are smarter than them around them propping them up. So the statement was not just tone deaf, it was just factually inaccurate. You were just being a donkey, sir.
Well, yeah, I was recently, somebody said to me, "Oh, a boss knows every aspect of their business." I know every aspect that I need. I don't know every skill for every part of my business, but I do have the
Exactly.
best people around me that know the best, for what I need. And so I agree with that statement. And I really have to say it's cringy watching a black man sit up there and talk about the service industry. I come from the service industry. Those of you that have read my book, I worked for the union where I worked with healthcare workers. Whether you were an EVS worker cleaning up shit at the bedside, or you were a lab assistant or a radiology technologist, regardless of your academic skills, the skill of caring for sick people is a skill that special people have. And I pride myself in, and I always say that was one of my best jobs, where I was able to actually advocate for people who didn't have those skills of advocating for themselves at the bedside, with their employer. But to see him say that and to think that we put those type of people in office, and then right around the corner you got the governor, Cuomo, who was taken out of office or had to resign or whatever amidst these allegations, to now no evidence that he actually did anything. And then his brother lost his job, as you know, because he was sniffing around for his brother. Like, that looks like a political witch hunt. So New York City right now, I think, is politically chaotic.
Mhm.
And I think for the mayor, they need to drag him for Phil for at least another 62 days. And then I think somehow the Cuomo's need to be they need to be redeemed somehow.
Yeah,
And
they
you
the law found that what he did was he was an asshole, but he didn't do anything illegal. So that was the final stand. What he did was it wasn't cool, but it wasn't illegal. That was the final stance.
What the mayor did wasn't cool. and it wasn't illegal. So now what we gonna do? Are they gonna launch some type of campaign? And to be black on top of it, let me tell you something, Mr. Adams. We're all watching you. We're
Mhm.
all watching you. And we have a person here, a friend of the show, Karen Bass, Congresswoman Karen Bass, who's going to be running for mayor. She's running for LA mayor. She's probably going to be elected as the next mayor here. And we're going to do everything to help her be successful. But she's somebody that I think for sure would be more mindful of the conversation she's having publicly. And I don't know, if is it a lack of media training or is it just ignorance
He
or
just
both?
sounded stupid. He sounded so dumb when he said it too. It sounded like he didn't have the education level to do the job he was doing. And I just feel like when you talk about low skill or low wage workers, you talking about people's parents. You talking about,
Mhm.
as a black man, my mother worked as, in one of those professions you talking about as low skilled, and my mother's skilled. And you saying this in a city like New York City, he's completely out of touch. And I think he doesn't have the knowledge or education to do the job he's doing.
He lacks social intelligence. He has intellectual intelligence, but he has no social intelligence.
Well, listen, whether you're a Kardashian trying to figure out where your man's penis is, whether you're a mayor trying to figure out the people that you serve, whether you're a governor who lost everything and you probably won't get it back, and your brother, he lost everything too, so he should be mad at you, or whether or not you're, a person like me who flies to Dubai, one thing we all have in common is that we want to be successful, and I think this is the year where I hope everybody. I know the three of us have figured out what we want in terms of success. I hope everybody's spending their time really tapping into the things that matter. I mean, yes, the tea is good and the tea is going to always be here served hot, but we got to focus on what's actually out there. And for all of us that are in the midst of this new Omicron Flurona situation, life still goes on. And I just want to say that, really quick, Blue Damage. I don't know if you have vision boards or if you've written out your vision for 2022, but I did in my mind, and everything looks like green.
Uh,
Oh, well, it's astrologically speaking, guys. Fun fact: 2022 is the year of six, and six is all about partnership. So my mantra for 2022 is healthy partnership, because this is the year of finding the right people to collaborate with. So lean into that.
mm, Look, I'm just trying to stay focused on my routine. I feel like a lot of times we know what's best for us and we start doing it and it feels good. And for some reason, we just break the cycle. So, no more breaking the cycle. I know what I need to do for myself. A lot of us do know what's best for us, and we need to stay consistent in what's doing best for us. Sometimes we start, shifting left and right, but do what's best for you, man. Take care of yourself this year.
Yeah, and I know what's best for everybody watching. Keep coming back to Fox Soul because we'll be right here. Peace.
Yes.
All right, look, that was a great show, and make sure you keep coming back because we got all types of amazing interviews and topics that are going to make you go crazy.
That's right. That means like, subscribe, do everything you need to do to make sure you stay up to date with what we got going on.
And ladies, stay tuned in because you know I have your back.
And listen, make sure that you're commenting below because even though I say I don't read it on the show, that's all I do when it's over. Peace.